Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are exploring a massive, paradigm-shifting concept that promises to completely transform the future of transportation as we know it. We're looking at a master plan, known as the Transportation Automotive Zero Accidents Project, or TAZA for short. And let me tell you, this is not just some minor tweak to how we drive. No, this is a fundamental, ground-up reimagining of our roadways.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, I want you to pause for a second and truly consider this question. Given the millions of fender benders and tragic collisions that happen globally every single year, is a world with zero car accidents actually possible? Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking. At first glance, an entirely accident-free world sounds completely impossible, right? Human error is just a part of life. We are so used to accidents being this inevitable, tragic byproduct of getting from point A to point B that the idea of eliminating them entirely feels like pure fantasy. But stick with me here, because this explainer might just change your mind.
Because here is the foundational, incredibly ambitious goal of the TAZA project directly from the source material. The target here is absolutely zero. We're not talking about fewer accidents. We're not talking about a 10% reduction in fatalities. We are talking about the total elimination of collisions. It's a bold, incredibly humane vision that prioritizes saving lives over simply making our cars a little bit smarter. But to pull that off, it requires a completely new way of thinking about how our vehicles interact with the road and with each other.
So here's our roadmap for today to reach that ultimate goal. First, we'll look at the zero accident vision. Then, we'll go inside the TAZA system. Third, we'll do a reality check to see if this is actually buildable. And finally, we'll walk through the 4-phase rollout plan.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the Zero Accident Vision, moving from chaos to harmony.
To really grasp this project, we basically have to unlearn everything we accept about driving today. Right now, our entire system relies on individual driving. You literally have millions of people making independent, split-second decisions, sometimes while drinking a hot coffee, yelling at the radio, or trying to eat a sandwich while changing lanes. It is inherently full of chaos, randomness, and human error. TAZA, on the other hand, shifts us entirely to system-level coordination. We're talking harmony, unified speed, and central control. The safety here doesn't come from building a stronger bumper or a better airbag. It comes from entirely removing individualism on the road. So accidents don't just happen less often, they are mathematically prevented from happening in the first place.
Moving right along to Section 2, inside the TAZA system and how this digital environment actually works.
Okay, let's dive into this and see what actually powers this incredibly ambitious idea under the hood. Here is the formal definition. TAZA is a mandatory, centrally controlled digital system installed in every car designed to coordinate traffic and completely eliminate human error. Now, the absolute most crucial word in that sentence is mandatory. This isn't some luxury feature you pay extra for at the dealership, and it's definitely not an optional app you turn on just when you feel like it. The road itself becomes a strictly controlled digital environment, and every single vehicle on it becomes part of one unified digital control system.
For this massive network to function, your car essentially transforms from an independent machine into a tightly monitored node. We are talking about a whole suite of mandatory hardware, AI-controlled wheels, AI speed and brake controllers, and incredibly deep GPS integration. It even goes all the way down to the oil tank and electric charge controllers to monitor vehicle health in real time. Plus, you have an incredibly robust network of road sensors constantly scanning the environment for falling or moving objects. It is a staggering scale of system integration that fundamentally changes how a vehicle operates.
And that brings us to what is easily the most radical rule of the entire TAZA protocol. All cars moving at one synchronized speed per lane. Seriously, just think about what that means for a second. Cars do not act individually anymore. There's absolutely no speeding up to pass someone, no slamming on the brakes because you suddenly got distracted, no random jerky lane changes. Cars move together in forced harmony. It completely rewrites the physics of traffic jams and collisions because the primary cause of both of those things, human unpredictability, is totally removed from the equation.
Which brings us to Section 3, the reality check. Is this actually buildable? Look, I know a mandatory AI network controlling the synchronized speed of millions of cars sounds exactly like the plot of a sci-fi movie. So let's aggressively pivot to the cold, hard engineering facts. Technologically speaking, is this buildable? Yes. 100% yes. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the AI driving systems, the vehicle-to-vehicle and vehicle-to-infrastructure communication, the autonomous control systems, every single piece of hardware and software already exists right now. But
The real hurdles aren't technological, they are logistical and societal. Dealing with mixed traffic during a transition period, getting governments all over the world to pass entirely new laws, upgrading legacy infrastructure, and ensuring military-grade cybersecurity so the system can't be hacked. Those are the massive deployment challenges we'd actually be facing.
But we can actually ground this seemingly radical idea in everyday reality, because we already use these exact central control principles today. Think about it. We have autonomous airports, autonomous shipping ports, automated mining trucks operating in super hazardous environments, and fully autonomous metro systems all over the world. These controlled zones already operate with zero accidents precisely because there is no human driving. They have unified speeds, and a central AI handles all the routing. TAZA is just taking this already proven concept and applying it to our public roadways. The crucial point to remember here is that TAZA is not science fiction. It is simply system integration. The source material makes it incredibly clear that no one needs to invent magical, never-before-seen technology for this to work. The pieces already exist separately. TAZA is just the first proposal to take these existing pieces, the AI hardware, the road sensors, the unified speed concept, and combine them into one mandatory global protocol aimed at achieving absolute zero accidents.
All right, final stretch. Section 4, the 4-phase rollout plan, taking this from a local highway to a global standard. Obviously, a system this massive and complex cannot just be turned on overnight. Old cars need retrofitting and aging infrastructure needs massive upgrading. So you have to start small. Phase 1 is a TAZA highway, a single, fully controlled highway pilot program aiming for zero accidents. Once that's proven to work, you expand to Phase 2, a TAZA city zone, which is a specific geo-fenced district where only TAZA-equipped cars are permitted. This builds the momentum for Phase 3, a national network where new laws actually mandate TAZA hardware in all brand new cars. And finally, we reach Phase 4, where it becomes an accepted global standard. Every massive global system starts small before scaling up, and this is no different.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the most radical safety measures eventually just become boring everyday standards that we completely take for granted. I mean, decades ago, mandatory seatbelts were fiercely debated. Now, we buckle up and we don't even think about it. The exact same thing goes for airbags, anti-lock braking systems, and emission standards. TAZA envisions a future where centralized digital road safety is just another standard, slightly boring feature of modern life.
Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question. This system is mathematically buildable, and the technology exists today. It has the potential to eliminate traffic fatalities completely. But it requires the total, absolute surrender of individual driving autonomy. So as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you to ponder this. Are you ready to give up the wheel to save millions of lives? It's the ultimate trade-off between your personal freedom and absolute systemic safety. Think about it. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep questioning the road ahead.